There it is.
Oh, man.
I felt like I was just floating on a cloud.
Hey, man, cool.
And before we get to that, I just want to welcome everybody first to the Rooftop podcast, the podcast where we get on top of a roof, someone performs, and then we talk about it. My name is Paulo Ruggio, creative director of Airwood Creative, and I am here with the great Julian White. The first,
What's going on, guys?
First guest of the Rooftop podcast. And first, before we talk about anything, let's talk about that nice little performance you just gave for us. Tell us a little bit about that. Was that improvised? Was that a cover? What was going on?
I didn't really know what I wanted to do for it, so I
Right.
kind of just I came up with a little progression and I did a little of improv over it, and yeah.
I think it came out pretty good.
It came out okay. I'm not disappointed with it.
Right. I'm not disappointed. I'm sure the people aren't. I forgot where I was for a second, honestly.
Hey,
I was
cool,
just
man.
floated away.
That's my idea. That's,
yeah. So why don't we just start right there? Why don't we just start a little bit with kind of your style? I mean, if people follow Julian on Instagram, and we'll add his little handle right here, you'll see that it's a very relaxed, chilled out vibe.
Right.
You're in your bedroom a lot and stuff like that. So if you want to just kind of talk about your sound, maybe how you got to that point.
Right. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, well, I grew up playing classic rock. I grew up playing. I loved AC/DC. I loved Led Zeppelin. I loved. I never liked the Rolling Stones. Sorry.
Okay.
But. Yeah, I liked Ozzy a lot. So I was really into kind of heavier classic rock.
Right.
And it eventually progressed, and then I got into metal when I was like 14, 15, 16. And then 17, 18, I didn't play as much.
Right.
And then by the time I was, 20,
Okay.
22 maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
I really stopped playing for a while there.
So you stopped playing for a while, but it seems like earlier on you were in the classic like rock, heavy.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So it's interesting if you started there and now here you are playing this kind of like smoother, lighter,
Right.
chilled out, vibey stuff. So it kind of shows a growth in yourself, I would imagine.
Yeah, and like we were talking about the other day, how
Right.
it kind of just as you get older, you kind of just calm down a little bit. Like I am now like I used to want to be out of my house all the time doing something.
Right.
Now I'm in my house all the time not wanting to do anything,
But you are kind of doing something.
Oh,
You
yeah.
are just hours and hours just shredding on this guitar. And honestly, during this quarantine, this COVID, you've seen quite a growth in
Yeah.
your social media footprint.
Right.
So I think that's another interesting thing to talk about, because I feel like many artists, and if any of them are watching, this was kind of a time for, everything kind of slowed down. No one was working. A lot of people started just getting into their creative mode, and I feel like
Right.
that's what you did. And you saw quite a jump in people's like awareness of you and
Right.
their love of what you were doing.
Right. Well,
So
you know
what was that
what?
like?
I figured out that no one's working, man. Everyone's at home. And everyone's kind of bummed, I mean, bummed is the wrong word. There are people that are at home and they're angry, and everyone's feeling a lot of emotions right now.
Right.
Right. And I also am feeling a lot of emotions right now. Who isn't?
For sure.
But like if I can sit down in my room and play guitar for a while and calm myself down.
Right.
And like the reason I like to do so many live streams is because I like to broadcast that. I like other people to feel that way with me, man, because right now it's kind of hard to feel good right now. It's kind of just like everyone is they're sad, they're angry, they're fucking, you need something to bring you up.
Yeah.
And I figured everyone was at home, everyone's on their computers, they're looking for something to do. I was like, let me expose my music a little bit and see what happens, you know?
And what happened was you got a lot of positive response.
Yeah, no, I did.
And I mean, at the same time, I feel like, there was not much going on, so everyone's like goes to their phone, goes to their computer, and that's exactly where they're meeting a lot of this like tumultuous like time and people yelling at each other. But these eyeballs are also there trying to find something, and they're finding stuff that you've created, other musicians have created. I feel like you also have collaborated with a lot of people now, new musicians through this time,
right?
That maybe necessarily you might have not if it wasn't for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Pandemic.
I mean, the thing is now it's crazy because I have a lot of people that I talk to every day now that I have never met before, which like as a concept now doesn't sound so crazy,
right?
Because who doesn't now?
Mm-hmm.
But like think back like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
just like your parents are telling you like don't talk to strangers online. It's like now all my friends are strangers online,
Yeah, right.
But no, it's cool because a lot of these people are really cool, man, and the internet gives us the ability to come together rather than, man, how am I going to meet someone from Indiana or fucking, I don't know, California? Like, I live here.
Right.
I can't travel right now.
Right.
Like I live here, and this has given me the opportunity to come into contact with a lot of people. So
That's
it was
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And what's interesting too is about this this Instagram Live thing, which just seems to be like this new avenue for musicians to take. And you said something interesting. We had a conversation before the podcast about how that's sort of like what you use as practice.
Right.
And it's like. How you were saying, well, I'll let you speak on it, but like, what is Instagram Live specifically? What has that kind of done for you, kind of for your like self-confidence and stuff as a performer and that kind of thing?
Okay, so like I am not a live performer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Before this, I had played in front of people like 3 times in my whole life.
Wow.
Like I kept my playing in my bedroom. That's the way I've always played. I've always just played by myself in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd go out and jam with some people every now and then, but it was very rare that we played in front of other people,
Mm-hmm.
I think it really has been like 3 times. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I still get this this almost nervousness in front of people that I want to overcome, and doing Instagram Lives while I'm practicing helps me do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it also helps. It's like when I post a video on Instagram, it's like I've watched that 10, 15, 20 times, and I'm like, okay, this is the one I like. This is good. I'm gonna put this up.
Right. You're talking about the post just right on the page.
Right. Exactly.
It's kind of there until you delete it, basically. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's there. People can rewatch it as many times as they like. When I go on Instagram Live, I'm practicing. You're getting the raw. You're getting me fucking up left and right. You know what? Because like, bro, it happens.
Of course.
It's like I am not perfect at what I do in any sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
But I love doing it, and I love sharing with people, and I love that people are reacting positively to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool because like, as musicians, man, as artists, as humans, we all beat ourselves up about everything, man. We
Totally.
beat ourselves up. So to have something that just like, look, man, it's okay if it's not perfect or if it's not that great the first time around, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Why you got to be scared of that? Why you have to be, you shouldn't have to be ashamed of what it took to get that perfect take.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So it's probably pretty liberating too.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
you're like, you're okay with showing your flaws to people or whatever.
Yeah. You know what, man? I mess up. I mess up.
Right. Even the best mess up.
Everyone, and you know what? I'm not the best. One day,
One day.
You know what?
But-
I've got a lot of learning to do, but it's
Yeah.
cool that people are willing to come on the journey with me of me becoming a better artist, becoming a better musician, becoming a better this, that, growing as a person. And a lot of these people I get to connect with on a personal level and do that with them too.
So, I mean, I don't know if you put any thought into this, but I mean, after this whole pandemic kind of like, hopefully it figures itself out or whatever, and whenever we kind of get back to normal, I
Right.
mean, now do you feel like, hey, I've got a little bit of an audience here. Are you going to start thinking about performing now for some people, or try to put some stuff together, or are you just kind of like,
Well,
just kind of taking it as it comes? But are you kind of seeing like, hey, maybe I can kind of start trying to play in for
you know
for
what?
people?
It's also it's kind of interesting because the kind of music that I really like to play, I couldn't really see myself playing for a big audience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is one, I don't know that I'm that comfortable that I'm there yet.
Okay.
But also it's like the kind of music I play, it's like I get a lot of feedback from people saying that they listen to my music while they're studying, or that they're reading a book,
Yeah.
or because a lot of it's instrumental stuff. It's
Right.
just it's quiet. You can just kind of put it on in the background and zone out a little bit to it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be completely present in it, which is something that I think about a lot, because a lot of music makes you think. A lot of music makes you think. Happy emotions, sad emotions. There's not a crazy amount of stuff out there that you can just sit back and not think about anything.
Yeah, like it's going to conjure up some sort of emotion. Like you were saying, like how many times I've put on lo-fi hip hop,
Yeah,
or just
exactly.
something just in the back. It's just got just enough for me to like kind of get in a focused groove or whatever to whatever I'm doing.
Right.
So I like that idea of it's just sort of you're kind of there setting like the mood, the background and stuff for then people to do whatever. So that's really interesting. Now, so you've gotten to this point. You started heavy metal, and then you said there was a 2-year gap there where you just stopped playing guitar, which I think is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that? What happened there?
Well, at that point, like I was telling you yesterday, I was kind of, I had bitten off more than I could chew. I was more of an adult then than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a mechanic. I had a lot of debt. I had, I had dug myself a hole that I was just like, well, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life, so I might as well just get used to it, And I was like, man, this really sucks. Like I'm not having a fun time. I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
And I think it was in December of 2018, I took my Christmas bonus from work and I was like, man, I'm gonna go buy a fucking guitar again. I'm gonna go buy an electric guitar. I watched The Dirt, the Motley Crue movie.
Right. Yeah.
And when I first started playing, way back then, back in 2003, it was School of Rock that did it for me. That inspired me so much that I was like, Dad, buy me a guitar.
Yeah, dude, that was me too. We mentioned too, like 2003, School of Rock. Literally right after I got out of the movies, my dad went straight to Guitar Center, bought me a freaking guitar, and but that's where our stories differ because I was sort of like, okay, and like I might have practiced a little bit, but then you of course went and took it. So yeah, I think that was a huge movie, and I think what we were saying earlier too is that movie, you just saw like Jack Black, that character of just the passion for music and also like the transformative power. Like you see all these little kids and they're not sure of themselves, and then here comes this guy, shows music. So I think that's a great representation of like the power of music.
Right, and you know what? We were talking about Larry in the movie, the keyboard player.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I'm not cool enough. Yeah. But like I really thought that when I was a kid, I was like, man, I wear sweatpants and hoodies all day. I don't look like a rock star.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna wear skinny jeans, But then I was like, that doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like watching The Dirt when that movie came out, like reignited it for me. It reignited the like dream of wanting to be a musician. I was like, man, that's so fucking cool,
Yeah.
Like that's so cool. So I bought a guitar, I bought an amp, and I started practicing again. And man, it took a minute to shake off the rust, and I still haven't shaken it off completely. There was some damage done to my hands during being a mechanic. You whack your hands enough with a hammer, and you're gonna have some. You're gonna be.
Yeah.
They're a little stiffer than they used to be. You know?
Finger picking is gonna be a little bit different afterwards, right?
It's the finger picking is I don't have a lot of dexterity in this hand like this hand, but. Look, I'm trying and I'm having fun, so.
Yeah, and I think that I think that comes across. People see someone enjoying, and especially growing. I mean, if people are watching your live and like, a few weeks go by, a month go by, oh, this guy's like now playing this or that, or it's different, and I think people really resonate with that. So just one last thing about that, which I found interesting, was it kind of humbling though? Like before you were playing, I mean, like the level you were at, and then you came back, but. Because I think a lot of people get discouraged too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
when we're like, damn, like I suck. Especially if you were like good, and then something happens, and then like the want to give up is probably pretty strong.
Dude, the amount of shit, dude. I used to be able to do this.
Right.
The amount of times I sat there and I was like, if I had just kept playing.
Yeah.
But I also like the want wasn't there. The drive to play wasn't there. If you don't want to do something, you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. If you like, especially if it's something that you don't have to do.
Yeah.
Like I had this guitar. I had an acoustic guitar sitting in the corner of my room. I had no excuse not to play it. I was tired. I was unmotivated. Whatever. I didn't want to play it. Mm-hmm. But when I got back on it, I was like, all right, I can still do this. I can still do that. I'm a little slow at this. And it was frustrating to come back and be like, I used to be able to do these things.
Right.
I used to be able to do this better than I can do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some things that I had to relearn, and there was a lot of things that I actually forgot. There was a lot of things that I forgot because 2 years was a long time not to play an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I don't play for a week, I'm rusty after a week. I feel it. 2 years.
That's crazy.
2 years was a long time not to play an instrument, and I'm so happy I picked it back up.
Yeah.
But like, kind of what It's all right. Everything takes its course.
Yeah, and everything takes its course. And, so maybe sometimes, like, that whole break, it's just like maybe it was just kind of like bringing up the need, over those 2 years to grow. So now it's just like I need to play because you've mentioned you play like hours.
Yeah.
For me, I would say I play guitar. I'm a 4-chord strummer.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even for me, I would have never thought I could even get to that point.
Yeah, of course.
I always thought I'd want to play, but I never really practiced. And then something just happens, and sometimes different times in your life there's different needs, and so
absolutely.
I was like, I feel like I just need to just play, so I'll pick it up every 20 minutes or for 20 minutes every day, and even that you start getting some confidence.
That's practice,
and stuff.
Man.
It's practice, and sometimes you don't even realize.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I'm doing my little thing, I'm doing my little chords, and before you know it, you're like, oh, wait.
Well, that's the thing. That's the practice that you don't notice. Is huge, dude. The amount of times. Yeah. I think a conversation that I've been having with a lot of musicians lately, especially over quarantine, is that you get frustrated with your playing because you're playing every day. You're playing every day, and you feel like you're doing the same thing. Every day is the same thing over and over and over and over. And music and guitar playing for guitarists anyway, and I'm sure other artists, is their outlet. It's their creative vice. It's what they use to get away from stress.
Right.
And when that is what's causing you stress, that's probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever experienced.
Right.
There's been times where I've just been sitting in my room and I'm like, I don't remember how to play this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I am going to throw it out the window and I'm never going to look at it again. But then 2-3 days will go by and I'll be like, all right, we've made an advancement, I moved up a level.
Yeah, and it makes it all better and all worth it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so but it's like a monthly thing, dude. It's annoying.
Really? So every month you'll go like, I can't play this thing.
Yeah.
So like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I can.
No, at least once a month. I'm like,
that's crazy.
I forgot. But
when you say I forgot, like, do you mean like you forgot like some lick or something that you're trying to do, or just in general, like the general?
Just for some reason, everything I play sounds like garbage. Like to my ears,
Right.
everything that I'm playing doesn't sound good. And it could be something I played a million times. I'm like, nope, not right. But either that's me judging myself too hard, or off days happen. But like I said, it's the whole thing is not perfect. You can't be like, art is not perfect all the time.
Yes, exactly. And for me, my more of my background is like acting and that sort of thing.
Right.
And I did some improv and stuff, and that's huge. People always talk about being in their head, and like, I just don't feel present in the moment, and it gets really frustrating. Like you said, like if that's like your outlet and your outlet's causing you stress, that's probably really frustrating.
Yeah. No, it is.
So it's good that you're working with that, because I think that's what it's about, and that's how you're gonna grow. So the other thing that I kind of found interesting was the kind of music you play, though, is like you don't necessarily play covers.
Right.
Like it's not like you play like Hotel California or something like that.
Right.
Your sort of thing is what? What's your kind of like thought on that? So about like, because a lot of your stuff's improv, a lot of your stuff is kind of off the top, but then because I've asked you, I was like, well, do you do covers? And what would be your response to that? To like, if someone asked you, like, do you do covers? Like, what would you kind of...
So, I just like... There are some songs that I know, like I have a couple of songs that I can run through entirely, but now I don't learn anyone else's music the way they played it, just because it's like, I can go on YouTube and look up, cover of Hotel California, or cover of Stairway to Heaven, or cover of this, and hear 10 guys play the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, that's cool. I'm not saying it doesn't take skill or talent to be able to do that, man, because you are learning, and learning other people's songs is incredibly helpful, because it helps you implement those techniques into your playing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I don't like post covers of songs done the way they were originally played, because
it's already been done.
It's already been done. Yeah. So I'll come up with my own little tune for it, and I'll take a 30-second, 1-minute video of myself if I were a part of the track, of what I would be playing if I was a part of the track, and just throw that in there, And I feel like it's more fun.
Yeah, right. It's more fun. It's probably fresh, and I think that's probably why a lot of people resonate with it, because it's you. and it's something new because they've never heard your type of guitar on that song or that
Right.
track. And because I was also thinking about that, and I was like, well, I think that's kind of been a new thing in like social media music and stuff, because it used to be you go on YouTube and it's like, look at this amazing cover of like this song or that song, and now with Instagram and stuff, because it's not just you. I've seen other people like doing the bedroom
Right.
kind of vibey improv thing, and it seems like that's kind of a new thing that's happening a little bit more with
Yeah.
musicians and social media, this kind of like improv, you know what I mean?
Right.
Thing.
And you know what? And I don't know if it's just because so much that I wasn't really a part of the community at the time. But from my standpoint, it looks like a new thing that's happening. You know, it's like there's a bunch of artists popping up, and some of these dudes are crazy. They are so good.
Yeah.
So crazy good. And it's just like they blow my mind, and I'm like, where have these dudes been? And they're young, man. They're young. Like I'm 24, but there's kids that are like, man, 17, 18, 19 years old that are just like, they sound like they've been playing for 40 years.
Kind of gets you mad, doesn't it? I mean, sometimes I'll see a kid, I'm like, what? Damn it, you know, like you.
Sometimes it's true, dude.
Yeah.
Sometimes like that can be discouraging, you know. Like I'll be like, what the fuck am I doing wrong, dude? You know, like I can't do that. That's crazy. But I mean, it's also like some of these kids, you know, they were put through school for music. They were their parents supported their passions from an early age. And I'm not saying that everyone who's young that's good has had that, you know, done for them, but if you have, that's helped, you know.
Right.
But look, man, there are some kids that are just born with that fucking talent.
Right.
You know, they're like, I was talking to Andy earlier today about Juice WRLD, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
And how that dude was, bro, 20 years old, and
dude, his freestyles were out of control.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable,
yeah.
dude. His freestyles, he
would go on. He'd go on.
You saw
for,
Westwood, he just like, for an hour, dude.
Just straight, right?
Hour straight.
Yeah.
Like,
just in that zone, locked in, because like someone like me, you know, I've thrown around a freestyle every now and again, just messing around with friends, but you kind of get in that zone for a brief moment, and you know, maybe you have a few bars where you're like, ooh, but most of the time it's whatever. But then those guys that are just like locked in into
dude.
that like zone, you know?
Like he would just like bangers every time, you know, like straight bangers.
Yeah.
You know.
Just
But some people are born with the ability to just think ahead like that, you know.
Right.
Like when I'm playing, I'm not really thinking ahead. You know, I'm kind of just like I'm moving around.
Right.
You know, like I'm moving around in a space where I know where I'm comfortable. But there are some people that can just make beautiful melodies and just because they're wired that way, man, you know. And they've put in that kind of work, they've put in that kind of time. Like when I was learning guitar, you know, when I was young and I was learning guitar, I was basically learning a little bit of a dumbed down version of everything that I do now. You know, it's like I started with like the minor pentatonic scale, and I was like, that's all I'm ever gonna need. You know, I only play classic rock. That's all I want. And you know, now I was sitting there and I was like, jazz. That's interesting stuff. You know, like how do I do that? That's crazy. You know, but I mean, I go on YouTube. I look for help. I asked. Like I have a few of my friends on Instagram that send me new stuff to learn, new material, and we try and help each other out, you know, which is cool. It's cool.
Yeah. It seems like there's like a community definitely building. So do you ever, I mean, do you see yourself just kind of like keeping it solo? Do you like want to join a band, or do you kind of feel yourself as like, this is kind of the way I like to kind of express myself with music, or you know, or do you have experience playing with other musicians, or is that something you want to like try out?
You know, ultimately I want to work. I don't know that I want to be part of a band so much, but I just want to work with other artists on music. Like I can do, you know, some solo stuff and, you know, whatever, but I like to be able to, I like working with people, you know. I like to be like, you know, what do you think of this? Does this fit here? You know, because then you just get opinions from other people of like, that's how you make a fire track, dude. That's how you make a really good track. When you have a bunch of people working on something, and everyone comes together and like, yo, that sounds good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Because then something could sound good to me and sound ass to you. You know?
Right.
Like something could sound great to me and sound terrible to somebody else. So I just like that a bunch of people get to work, get together and work on a collective, and you have all those opinions and you have all that input and you have all those different skills from all those different people.
And almost like life experience too. I mean, sometimes it's just like where you've come from, what you heard, your energy or your experience. And so, maybe, and sometimes you don't even know where that comes from, but that sometimes brings something new to the table.
Right.
I mean, shout out Haviland Studios as well, back there. We're actually just on top of it right now, and that's been kind of a bit of a magical place.
Yeah.
Where a lot of collaboration has happened, and then
there's been a lot of cool things happening.
A lot of cool things happening there, and that's really, I mean, for me, just a few years ago, I wasn't really musically inclined. I sang a little bit in chorus and stuff like that, but just playing along, figuring something out. I mean, sucking terribly, but also having those moments with people that it just feels right. You're like, oh man, that little taste, and it keeps you wanting to come back more.
Yeah.
I think it's always more fun when you're with other people.
Absolutely.
And feeling that growth and stuff. So that's cool. So the mechanic thing. So now, I mean, you're in this like new phase of your life where you feel like more of a kid again, probably.
Yeah,
or more
for sure.
that youthful spirit of like, I can go for stuff and do things.
Yeah.
Is great. So is that where you kind of see yourself? You just want to keep just like now you're kind of like chasing that and growth as a musician, all that.
Right.
Is that
and
like your new path 2020?
Yeah. Well, you know what, man? It's like, why am I going to waste more time doing something that I hate, man? I wasted, when I finished high school, or when I was supposed to finish high school, I was working 100-hour weeks. I was working.
That's crazy.
I was working a shop from 6 a.m. to 11, and then I was working at a gas station from 1 to 10 every day. Mm-hmm. It sucked, dude. It sucked.
Can I just cut you off right now, because I don't know if I've told you this, but the first time I met you, I think it must have been last summer, the summer before. I don't know. It was when there was like the Deck Fest or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you come, and I think your hands were still like a little greasy from the shop and stuff. And I was like, who's this guy? And I don't know. I just kind of saw he was like, oh, he seemed just kind of like a guy who works with his hands or whatever.
Right.
And then you take out this guitar and just absolutely start shredding. And I was like, oh, that's unexpected. So
right.
So you kind of like, like the idea of what a guitar player kind of looks like, or what,
Right,
like
right.
That definitely surprised me. You were like a working man guitarist.
Right,
it's kind of the vibe
sure.
I got.
Yeah. And that was the thing, dude, is I was, at that point, I was working just so I could buy guitar stuff. At that point, I was like, but you know what? I got so fed up with doing a job that I hated so much I couldn't do it anymore, man. Mm-hmm. One day I walked into work and my boss asked me to do something that I had done 1,500 times before, man. 1,000 times. Yeah. Over the course of the prior 3 years. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna go home instead.
Oh, so you just quit right there?
Yeah, I quit right there. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'll talk to you on Monday. And I went in on Monday, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back anymore. I literally went in just to tell him that I'm not coming back. And that was that. That was it.
That's awesome. That's awesome because you followed it. Like, I feel like a lot of people, they're just like, they just tell themselves a story.
Right.
Where it's like, nah, that's not really for me. This is really what I'm doing, whatever. And I feel like people always, we're all just, we make our own belief systems. And we create our own reality. So if your reality is, nope, I'm the mechanic guy, I don't play guitar anymore, or whatever.
Right.
That could literally be your life. I mean, we wouldn't be here today. You'd be
not at all.
Fixing a gasket or something, right?
Yeah,
Gaskets,
I'd be laying on the ground somewhere, very dirty and probably very upset,
Right.
But yeah, no, I was so sick of, like, man, I was in the sun on the pavement all day, and I'm like, man, I'm okay at guitar. I could play that.
Yeah.
And I have way more fun playing that than I do turning wrenches and busting my knuckles all day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead. Like, I already have a foot in the door.
Right.
I know how to play the instrument. I'm going to go capitalize on that instead of this, because this sucks, And
what's been amazing, like kind of going back to the COVID and quarantine, I feel like everyone just got so much time now. Or they did, especially for the last like few months. If you were someone that's creating, or even if you were on the fence, you're like, well, damn, I don't need to go work. And so I mean, we'll see how things shake out, and hopefully on this podcast I can get more people that have experienced that,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
just kind of see like what happens when society takes a break, and then the people that wanted to try something, they actually got the opportunity.
Right.
And yeah, so that's kind of what you did, and sort of what I did. I mean, this podcast itself kind of came through quarantine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I had all
yeah.
this time in my hand. I came over here, and we're just messing around, and then these were here.
And
I bought a nice camera, and it was just like, well, why don't we put this together?
Well, yeah, why don't we do something?
Yeah, why don't we get on a roof? And why
Yeah,
don't
we got
perform?
Rooftop.
And let's talk about it. So yeah. So you are based out of, and I guess we should say to the listeners, so we're actually in Norwalk, Connecticut, and you're based out of Bridgeport.
Yep.
Shout out Bridgeport. And so
BPT.
Yep. And what's that like? Because I feel like people, when they think of this area, I don't know, really, they probably think of like, Fairfield County, Rich.
Yeah, New Canaan, Greenwich.
But what they don't realize is there's actually a little bit of a music community here, especially up by Fairfield and Bridgeport. So you want to talk about a little bit about that, or how that's influenced you, or what's that scene like?
You know what? One of when I first started getting back into music, my favorite artist. I'm talking my favorite artist, like the person that I listen to is John Mayer.
John Mayer.
I love John Mayer, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, John Mayer was born in Fairfield.
Yes,
So
he is.
he was born town next to where I live. So I was like, I was watching this documentary. I'm seeing they got like pictures of Fairfield High School, and I'm just like, he was just a guy.
Yeah.
He was just a guy that decided, you know what, I want to make music. And when it goes to like the music scene around there's the Acoustic, which is a poppin' spot for live music. Well, was, I guess.
Oh, did it shut down because?
Well, they shut down, but I think they've actually been they went out. But they've been revived, I think, now. By people were able to raise enough money to open them back up again, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's a really, really great live music spot. And like we were talking about Bryac, and but even just locally, there's a lot of art-friendly events.
Yeah.
Like there's Sono. What was it? Sono Arts Day.
Oh, Sono Arts Fest.
Sono Arts Fest.
In August,
yeah. Which we played last year.
That's right.
And there's just, it's cool to live in an area where there are events for artistic people.
Yeah.
For people to showcase what they can do, and like we got Factory Underground right down the street.
Right.
Like that's a pop-in studio. Like a lot of people go there. And just to have, and we also live 45 minutes outside New York City. It's kind of, if you're an artist here, you can utilize all these things around you. You can take advantage of the fact that you live 45 minutes away from New York City.
Right.
Man, what happens if you live in, I don't know.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin, Alabama. Like,
right.
Bro, like you have to try really, really hard to get out there if you live down there.
Yeah.
Here it's like, bro, we can make connections with people,
Right.
like we have so much advantage and so much privilege to live in a place like this, so it's cool because once you figure out that you can utilize it, you use it to your advantage.
Boom. Yeah. So let's get a little bit more into your style.
Sure.
You're wearing a
I'm wearing a kimono.
So that's sort of your thing. And is that like, does that have anything, do you just like the kimono just a look, or does that have anything to do with
You know what?
something?
I love hoodies, right? So hoodies are my thing, right? And it's what time is it? It's probably like 8:30.
What time is it?
8:10.
8:10. Okay.
And it's still almost 80 degrees. I can't wear a hoodie right now, bro. And I hate just wearing t-shirts. I feel naked. So I was like, I don't want to wear a dress shirt. I don't want to wear anything on top of this. I'm gonna get one of these because it just looked comfortable as hell, man. And one thing, I'm at home all day. I'm just trying to be comfortable. I'm just trying to be cozy all the time.
And I feel like with our culture, there's all this thing about cozy, Netflix, and chill. But I'm talking about actually chilling. You're there on the couch, you're there, and all stuff. And so I think people also like that aesthetic because when they do check your live out, I mean, you have a dope room, man. I mean, if anyone checks it out, it's like it's got the lights, it looks very comfortable. And obviously, I think that's a lot of your music reflects that. It's very comfortable. cozy sound.
Right.
And that's how you want to feel when you play as well.
Right, and that's the thing. That's what I want to. That feeling of being comfortable and being cozy and just kind of relaxing is what I want to convey through my music and through my aesthetic. You know, like right now I'm wearing sweatpants.
Can we show the camera the socks? Because those socks look comfy.
They are these socks are pretty comfy.
You don't have to tilt. But what is that? Are those pigs?
They are pigs.
They
are pigs,
and they're flying.
They are flying pigs when pigs fly.
When pigs fly.
And they are pink and they're blue and they're my favorite colors and I love them.
Beautiful.
So.
And they're pretty dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe you should try to get your own Julian White's.
You know what?
Socks.
I would love to get my own clothing line at some point.
Hey.
Just because, I don't know, man. I just want stuff that's all this color. I'm really sick of going everywhere and trying to find it.
Right.
I would like to have somewhere that just has it all.
Make it yourself. So anybody who makes clothes and stuff, link up with Julian over here. So very cool. Well, I think that should just about do it. Was there anything else you wanted to say? Anything for the people?
You know what? Yeah, actually, there is one thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
So I want to go back to that I was incredibly unhappy with my job before I started doing this, right? And look, I'm not gonna say like I had a little bit of help almost from COVID, and in the fact that I was able to grow this while everyone was at home on their phones.
Yep.
You know, but nothing should stop you from doing what you actually want. If you know there's something that you'd rather be doing, just do everything you can to follow that. Because, you know, man, soon enough, I look back and I'm like, man, I'm 24 now. I could have done this when I was 17, you know, or 16 or 15 or 14, you know, and I don't want to say I wasted the time in between that, but it wasn't being spent on something that I love to do.
Right,
you know?
and it's actually interesting you say that because there's actually a quote where they're just like, and we can use guitar as an example, but say someone wanted to learn guitar, right?
Right.
And they're 22, let's say, and they're just like, you know, I should have learned when I was 16, so I guess I can't, it's too late.
Right.
They're 28 now, and they're like, man, if I started at 22, it would have been like, you know, what's that, 6 years,
right?
And I would have been playing, and you could just keep going on, but it's like if you just start, if you
right.
just go,
if you
and
just
if you just
do it.
get that out of your head, and you never know, man. I mean, you never know how good you can get. You never know, and honestly, there's no time limit. So I think that's very well said, because I feel the same way as well. Like Airwood Creative, this was created in the middle of this pandemic, basically.
Right.
I had some skill with production and things here and there, and I just said, well, let me put this all together.
Right. Let me capitalize on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've worked, you know, restaurant jobs. I was working some dead end jobs, feeling super unhappy, and I was like, there's something in here that I feel like needs to get out, and here we are. It's like, and we almost see these two worlds meeting.
Right.
You deciding to do the guitar, me deciding to do this, and
of course.
And here we are creating something cool. So very well said. And with that, I think we're gonna end the podcast here. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'd like to also thank Haviland Studios for also co-producing this podcast. And for anyone out there watching, any artists or anyone who, if you know any artists, you know, reach out to Airwood Creative on Instagram. Let me know about them, and we'd love to have them on the podcast because we're just trying to give a platform for up-and-coming artists. But before we leave, we're going to leave you guys with a little something. Julian is going to take us away with another improvised melody, ditty.
Cool.
And Julian, I want to thank you one more time for coming onto the podcast.
Paulo,
and,
thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Take it away.
All right. Let's see. Let's see what we got.
What do we got?
I don't know.
Here we go. Also, I love that color for the, well, as you said, pink. There you go.
Yeah, pink.
Both pink. You're not messing around.
Oh, man. All right.
So let us know a little about this. Are you going to be playing? What are you going to be playing now? Is it going to be
I'm
another?
going to be playing the same thing that I was playing in the beginning.
What
Which,
with-
like I said, is just a little chord progression.
Little chord
wanted to
progression.
improvise over.
Beautiful.
It's hot. My brain's cooking, you know?
All right. Let's cool it down.